No.
And yet you visit him every week in prison.
He's in jail.
What do you chat about?
Pardon?
What do you chat about when you visit Charlie?
Trees, the bugs getting gone, no more butterflies, dirty water.
Could you stand up, TJ, just for a second? I just want to show people your shirt right there. Pull your jacket back. This is not a follower of Manson, although he does wear a shirt that is emblazoned with Charlie's image.
These are on sale everywhere. Somebody gave me
for sale everywhere.
Somebody gave this to me.
Could you stand, Anson 13? Could you show us your leggings? Can you see the leggings? These are, we said, we are told are available at a store near you. Did you get a shot? Did you see them?
It's Haight Street in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. We'll be sure to go and...
Amoeba Clothing.
And I know you're not a follower, but what does the 13 signify in your name?
Well, when Charlie was on death row, he was in cell 13. And when he got released in 1972, he just gave me the name Anson 13. So, there you go. So
you're bearing the name that Charlie bestowed on you?
Yeah. Just like your mom probably called you, whatever she called you. You know, it's just like a name of affection, more or less.
Right. But you're not a follower.
No, I'm not a follower. I follow myself.
He keeps doing that.
I don't need any direction in my life.
John, why do you wear the mask? I'm curious.
I'm in front of a bunch of people and a whole bunch of other people behind that camera who've judged something to be evil. And at the moment, because of my family and associations, I don't want to be one of the Christians thrown to the lions, at least, you know, not economically or socially, etc. I've had that experience.
Are you a working man?
Yes, I'm a working person. I'm a working person.
On the rare chance that you folks at home or here in our studio don't recall these crimes, well, for those of you who were born well after 1969, what I'd like to do now is to travel back in time. I'd like to travel back 22 years, back to when the words helter-skelter were first branded on the national consciousness. It was 1969. Hippies were free-loving, dropping acid, preaching peace, and living communally in extended families. The one family that didn't quite fit in with the rest was Manson's tribe. Crazed by drugs and Manson's ravings, they spent their time stealing cars and committing robbery. Then under Charlie's spell, they turned to homicide. It was here at Spahn Ranch that the bloody plan was born. Its creator told his followers to massacre. The intent? To start a race war, pitting black against white. His followers, mostly young, fairly educated women from middle-class families, were so enthralled with Manson, they obeyed his every command.
He's our father. He's our leader. He's our love. He's our teacher. He's everything. In fact, Charlie's Jesus Christ.
Susan Atkins, Leslie Van Houten, Patricia Krenwinkel, Linda Kasabian, and Tex Watson. All obeyed the maniac's every word. They went on a killing spree that began with a musician, Gary Henman. Then they worked their way into the home of Sharon Tate. Here they brutally murdered 5 people, including Sharon Tate's unborn child. The bodies of Stephen Parent, Jay Sebring, Wojtek Frokowski, the coffee heiress Abigail Folger, and Sharon Tate all lay in pools of blood. On the walls of the house, the words pig spelled out in the victim's blood. The next night, on the other side of town, the murderous band slaughtered Lino and Rosemary LaBianca. Here, too, they left their mark in blood, the words helter-skelter and pigs. They left the murder scenes with neither remorse nor guilt.
At the time, it was supposed to help people. It was supposed to start a revolution that would clean the souls of everyone.
The family would later get busted at Spahn Ranch when the police swooped in to disband what they thought was just an auto theft ring. At unveil, the Manson clan moved to Barker Ranch. Soon after, they were busted again. By December 1969, Manson and his homicidal followers were all behind bars. Linda Kasabian was granted immunity if she testified about the murders. She did. In 1971, Charles Manson, along with Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, and Tex Watson, were convicted for the murders that had left the nation stunned. Here's Tex Watson at a parole hearing in 1984.
There's no question. The point that I'm trying to make that even though I was the leader at the time, I was also very much a follower.
This is Leslie Van Houten in an interview from prison.
In my opinion, the courtroom was just a follow-up of the crimes. You know, Charlie was conducting the courtroom.
What do you mean?
Well, he was telling us what to say, you know, when to stand up, you know, when to carve the X, when to shave our heads. Every day it was like a new agenda on what we should do for the day.
And here's Charlie, straight from San Quentin.
These kids come around me.
Yeah.
They say, you're God. You have the voice of God. And I say, there's a whole penitentiary of guys like me. You know, I'm nothing. I'm just a messenger. I'm a witness, that's all. I'm just a poop butt that dropped out of the penitentiary. And they seen something in me I didn't see in me.
What'd they see?
They seen a nice guy. And I'm not a nice guy.
I agree.
But they seen that. So I said, well, as long as they seen the nice guy, I'll reflect the nice guy. I'll be the nice guy to them.
22 years, but in some ways that crime seems like it happened just yesterday. Your question, sir?
Yes, I refer my question to the friends of Charlie. You referred to Charlie Manson as being very innocent and incapable of such crimes, but when I look at the pictures that you wear proudly on your shirt and pants, the glare and the image that I'm left with is Satan-like and very barbaric.
What's your judgment?
That is his look at you telling him that he is that. He will look at you because that is what you are projecting from your heart.
No, that
Why
doesn't
shouldn't
make
he
sense.
look
I
back at
project
you?
my own image.
That's where the look originated. That's where that picture came from. The cover of Life magazine in December of '69.
I wore this shirt because I didn't have any more shirts, and somebody had given it me to wear it. I got here, and there's no...
Okay, okay.
There's no laundry here in New York. Where's the laundry?
in the eye of the beholder, sir.
Yes, my question is to the fellow at the end. Why, John, why do you believe that Charles Manson is innocent?
Well, I knew the man, and I followed the trials and the evidences that were given during the trials, and I've spoken to him personally. I know the other people that were involved, and like I say, he said to me that he didn't send anybody to do anything, and the evidence in the court was just about that, except for the one exception of the lady who was given immunity.
Yeah, also joining us, I might as well bring everyone into the mix here. First, there's Deborah Fraser. Deborah is the attorney for Susan Atkins. Susan Atkins, of course, one of the killers in the mass crime, at least at Sharon Tate's house. Susan Atkins was one of the knife wielders, and I believe is the one who stuck the knife and killed the unborn child. At least that's the way I've been told the story.
I have had a lot of people ask me about that. Sharon Tate's baby was never taken out of her body, and in order to talk to people about that, I had contacted Stephen Kay, who is the district attorney that took over the case from Vincent Bugliosi, and went up to Los Angeles in the criminal courts building and took a look at the autopsy pictures. And although the pictures are rather horrible to look at, Sharon's baby was intact. Susan never took that child out, and apparently...
But the baby was stabbed, though.
No, not at all. No, she has one stab wound to the side, more near her pelvis area, and then there were 16 stab wounds to her chest, and then there was a cut to the side of her face, and apparently she was also hung and was asphyxiated.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you straightened that out for us. Bill Nelson, the author of the new book, Tex Watson, The Man, the Madness, the Manipulation, also joins us. You know, before we get more deeply into all this stuff, to TJ and to John, I really would like to know what it was like on Spahn Ranch. Let's put aside the question of guilt or innocence, and I know that that's part of your agenda today. What was it like? How many people lived on Spahn Ranch, TJ?
A lot of people. Most, it was like a place to be, that you were accepted and welcomed. It was a nice place, entertaining. You entertained yourself because you had to work all the time.
And how many people were there at various times? And what would it average?
30, 40 people. There's lots of other people living there, too. There was the bikers were living over on one side. And
Bill, it sounds like kind of a Boy Scout jamboree. Give us a more realistic picture.
Why do you ask him?
Co-educational Boy Scout.
They would like for you to believe it was a Boy Scout jamboree, but just back in the hallway coming out of the green room, TJ reminded me that they weren't hippies, they were called slippies. A true hippie that was peaceful, loving, smoked a little pot. A true hippie got out of the Spahn Ranch as fast as they could. Charlie not only sent the people, but you haven't read his book. Charlie says he sent the people, and he even admitted recently to tying up Lino LaBianca. Charlie said to Geraldo, when he was taping that television show in 1988, Charlie Manson, TJ, said, when I went in the house to tie up Lino LaBianca, I said, where is the little black book? Don't lie to me or you die. He was tied up with a piece of rawhide off of his shirt. The .22 caliber gun was Charlie Manson's that was used at the Tate house.
Gun.
That was your gun?
Yeah, it was given to me by...
Then you're the one that stole it from El Monte?
No, it was never stolen from El Monte.
Oh, you guys talk about this a little more. It's a reunion, folks. It's the Manson family reunion. It's the focus of this edition of Geraldo.
I've never took anybody's life.
Is it easy to stick a knife in somebody's body?
I generally don't stick people. I cut them a couple times first and show them that I can, but I've never really stuck anybody, not stuck a knife in them. I cut them a couple times, show them I could, and then tell them, you know, don't make me do this no more.
Help me understand something, Charlie. Why do people murder? Why did those girls murder for you? Why did Tex Watson murder for you?
Me?
You told them to.
No. Come back, D.A. Come back. That's not reality.
What is?
No, reality is they did what they did. They're responsible for their own actions. I'm responsible for my actions.
Ever kill anybody?
I've come awful close a few times.
Come on, didn't you, Charlie?
What do you mean, come on, didn't you, man? I ain't lying to you. If you think I'm lying to you, you're wasting my time and your time.
Now, John, you would agree, right?
I would agree that what he told you was absolutely correct. He's not lying, and you're implying.
I'm persecuting Charlie.
In a sense.
In a sense, right.
We all are.
He, but for the abolition of the death penalty or the overthrow of the death penalty as written in 1971.
He'd be dead now. Isn't that kind of strange that happened right at that point? Makes you think.
What does it make you think, John? John?
Maybe there's a bigger thing watching over, to make sure that...
You think Charlie is a blessed and protected person?
You could...
Didn't Richard Speck also get out on that class of 72?
Yeah, and I don't know much about that case.
You have a question?
Yeah, I have a question for Anson 13 here. You say you're not a follower of Charles Manson, but yet you have his face all over your legs, and you took the name that he gave you.
This is just clothing, and that's just a name.
Well,
what is your stipulation for a follower, anyway?
Well, if he's just a friend, I mean, I don't go around with pictures of my friends all over my legs and take their names they give me, take that as my name.
Why do you visit him in prison? What do you discuss when you visit?
Well, if you take somebody that's got nobody to go and visit him, wouldn't you like to be visited if you're in jail, Geraldo? Wouldn't you like Cece coming over to see you?
Yeah, I would. Cece's my wife. I mean,
there you go.
Are you spiritually linked to Charlie? Is that, do you visit all the prisoners or just Charlie?
No. I visit because there's a reason to visit, and it's just for talking, friendship. It gets very lonely in there. And those people aren't the nicest people in the world, as you know. You went in there to see them. You know what it's like.
I want to ask John and TJ, what do you think Charlie's attraction to women was? I mean, he was always very successful attracting young women, wasn't he?
I can't think anything for Charlie. All I know is that he was fun. He entertained you, he fed you, he made sure you had a blanket at night, he swept the floor, he cleaned the horse. He never turned anybody away from his door. So what do you want? Who are you going to be around? Somebody that throws sticks at you?
Yes, I met Sharon Tate's mother on Seattle Today, and during the program, people were asked, well, have you ever met Charlie? And there was like a long pause and kind of the stare that Charlie has. So then I helped Mrs. Tate afterwards, helping her to the taxi and the bags, and then I had some time to talk to her. So I asked her, Mrs. Tate, what would you do if you really met Charlie? And I went like this, and she went,
What's your point, sir?
My point is if Mrs. Tate ever met Charlie, she never met Charlie Manson. If she did, she would just strangle it. She would just take the guy's head off.
Oh. Do you
probably give him a hug? Hey, you'd probably give him a hug if you met him, too.
Yeah, but, Geraldo, what the guy's saying is Mrs. Tate saying she's a killer.
To TJ and his lovely, lovely wife, what do you do for a living?
Me, I clean parks and pick up the trash, and I get disability from the government because I went to keep the faith going, to protect our rights that you've taken away from Charlie. And if they can take them away from him, they can take them away from you or anybody else. So you might as well figure that out now.
We pay you.
Huh?
We pay you.
No. You don't pay me. I've got my leg blown apart.
My taxes pay you.
I got my leg blown apart to get my money. Did you go over there?
And if you're so upset about Geraldo
I'm not
exposing you. Why did you accept his invitation to come here?
I accepted because we were supposed to.
The way the media runs everything.
I came here because I was
They run this
asked to come
country.
here.
Okay.
All of you are like lost sheep listening to the media. It's so much lies. They run on the sensationalism.
You're the lost sheep.
The pot calling the kettle black. You're very hostile.
You know, we're all
Anson 13, you're very hostile, and you come in here and you're copying an attitude, and the face that we see and the stare that we see from Charlie's eyes is what he's projecting, that he's getting from us. And I'm sorry, I think it's a bunch of crap.
Thank you.
That's your opinion.
Just for the record, I want to go back to Deborah, who is Susan Atkins' attorney. Does Susan at this point confront the fact that she committed these crimes? Does she say...
Let's sort of understand, Geraldo, what Susan is doing in prison, what crime she's in prison for. She's in prison for Gary Hinman's murder, as well as the 5 murders at the Tate House, plus the 2 at the LaBianca house. But Susan Atkins did not kill Gary Hinman. Bobby Beaujolais did. She was present with Mary Bruner in that house. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, she was present at the Tate House, although she did not murder Stephen Parent. She didn't murder Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, or Wojciech Frykowski. However, she was a participant in Sharon Tate's death. She was in a fight with Wojciech Frykowski and lost her knife. So Susan never stabbed Sharon Tate. The person who stabbed Sharon Tate was Tex Watson, who mutilated the rest of the people there. Susan never entered the house at the LaBianca residence. She is doing 2 life sentences for the murders that she never committed for that. However, she is doing those sentences.
What does Susan say about Charlie telling her and the others to commit these crimes? What does she tell you now?
Susan's position on that is that she never heard Charlie tell her to go murder somebody.
There you go.
What she told me was that Charlie had told Tex Watson, he had told the girls, go get into black clothing and go get your buck knives and do what Tex tells you to do.
That's what Charlie said.
That's what Susan told me. That's what in 1969, that's what happened. So they got into the car, and then it was Tex who drove them then to the Polanski residence.
All right. Now, you know, we're working around in circles here. Tex Watson said in his parole hearing many times that Charlie told him to do it. Charlie told the girls to get in black. Charlie told the girls to go get their buck knives. Excuse me.
In parole hearing.
Come on. And
that's not.
And then they went out and committed what was probably the first of the modern mass murders. I mean, for the first time in American history, people in their own homes felt unsafe. It started decades of paranoia. Charlie is in many ways the architect of this current age of the loss of innocence. I mean, Charlie Manson will live forever in infamy, and we are curious.
Tex didn't know anything anybody was saying. Tex was nuts.
And you said at the parole hearings, he said that.
We didn't even know Tex.
He didn't say it at the trials.
Geraldo, I got a good one for you.
And he wants to get out.
Okay? This country was gotten by the American Indians. We gave them blankets that were infested with smallpox. The government's been doing it for a long time.
I mean, there's been mass murders inspired by...
When I asked Charlie about your religion, Atwa, and how he was going to protect his air, tree, water, and animals, he said the first thing he was going to do was kill 50 million people.
If they're not alive, you're not alive. That's what the whole thing's about.
We are all killing the earth.
Let me go back to Dolores. How do you feel, Dolores? Having fun so far?
Oh, great.
You know, get a shot of little Dolores' feet. It's so cute. They're sort of suspended in midair there. You know, swing them around there. So, Charlie is only 5'2" tall. Maybe you liked him because you could see eye to eye. Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, Bill, you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say this religion, this concept, this thought that you brag about called Atwa.
I don't brag about it.
Can I have the floor? You've had it long enough.
Well, don't put words in my mouth, please.
No, I want to take them out.
Thank you.
Atwa is air, trees, water, and animals.
All the way alive.
Where are the people in that gospel?
That's the animal. You're an animal. That's the life.
We'll be right back.
I influenced everybody out there at that ranch. I take responsibility for those 9 people getting killed.
Yeah, I can see that.
What do you mean, TJ?
I can see that because everybody was influenced by the guy just by being around him, because he was fun to be around. If someone was talking to you and you went to jail and you wanted to get out of jail and you had somebody to call, you would call or tell somebody to get a hold of the person that made you feel the best, that took care of you the best. And that happened to be Charlie. And that's the reason that anybody started calling him the leader, because whenever anybody talked, they talked about him because he had fun with him, he played with him, you know.
Let me ask John why you lived on Spahn Ranch. Why did you live there with them?
I met Charlie long before there was a Spawn's Ranch, long before there was a family. I met him as an individual. I visited him from time to time as time went by, from '67 to when they moved to Spawn's, and I couldn't tell you in words what exactly it was, but I had a family.
Didn't you tell our producer that you lived there?
Yes, I did tell your producer.
Tell us. Let's hear it.
Something that was a kind of an egotistical trip on my part.
Well, let me hear it again. Let me hear it. Well,
I'd rather
not politically correct.
But you can bring it up.
You went there because you wanted the girls that were Charlie's rejects, right?
No, I didn't say that at all. Now that is an out-and-out lie. You're not even. You're not even.
That wasn't a big part of why you were there.
You're not even quoting what I said.
Well, you tell me. You tell me what you said.
I said to CC, your wife,
and producer, wonderful lady,
producer of this show,
honest person,
that at time I was, as any other male might be, and lots of men were, jealous of the fact that there were a lot of young, attractive girls around him, and wanted to see, you know, what that was about. As time has gone by, I realized that was a bad reason on my part for being around. What I learned there and what I've learned since are many, many more things, a lot more important than that.
Bill, I'd like to ask you, what are chances of Charlie Manson making parole?
I don't think Charles Manson will ever be paroled. He's what is he, John, 56? How old is he now?
He's 57.
I think probably he won't be, but I think...
57?
57.
Whenever you parole yourself, he'll be out.
That's about it. When you free yourselves, then you'll be free.
Your own minds of all these prejudices in your heads, you know, me, myself, everyone else, whoever.
You say that you're not a follower, but a friend of Manson's. Is that correct?
Yeah. Were you speaking to him?
You, John.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a friend.
Okay. I know we went over it before, but it amazes me that if you had nothing to hide, why would you be here with that mask?
I told you I have nothing to hide myself, but I have family and friends. And as far as you're concerned, and most of this audience, Charlie Manson is synonymous with evil.
Correct.
And as being a Christian right after Jesus was killed meant you got thrown to the lions. Symbolically, your business might be bad. People won't deal with you.
You're comparing Manson to Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, really.
I compare you to Jesus Christ, Geraldo. We are all Jesus Christ.
What have you got to hide?
I have nothing to hide. You don't understand what I said? That's your problem.
Okay, good. Quick.
Yes. To John, this is referring to way back also. If you do not have anything to hide, why aren't you on hidden camera and not just...
I just answered the lady the same question.
Yeah, that's basically, he's afraid that he's going to be thrown to the lions. That's Carol, we haven't heard much from you. Now, you met Charlie where?
Where I met Charlie?
Yeah.
And I met him in Haight-Ashbury. He was singing.
He was singing? Actually, we have a tape exclusively obtained. I don't know, did you bring it or did Charlie send it directly to CC? You're going to hear Charlie sing here on this program for maybe the first time. Okay, so you met him in 1967 at Haight-Ashbury. Did you ever go live in Spahn Ranch?
No, I didn't. He told me to after he got arrested, but I was on parole. And I didn't want to...
What were you on parole
put
for?
a bad... I went to California Rehabilitation Center for 1 year for LSD in 67, 68.
Where were you in August
19.
of 69 when these crimes were committed? Yeah.
I had just gotten out.
Did you just hear about it?
I was in San Bernardino.
In San Bernardino. So you just hear about it on TV, is that?
Yeah, I heard about it, and they arrested whoever they could get a hold of to arrest for it. They decided Charlie was more fun to them, so they went and arrested him.
When did you reignite your friendship? Was that when you restarted your friendship with Charlie?
I went and saw him after he got arrested. I went and saw him in jail right then after he got arrested.
Did you kind of like have the cross on your forehead and all that kind of stuff?
No, I had a shaved head. I didn't know anyone else had a shaved head at the time because I was in Hawaii and I flew back over and everyone else had shaved heads. And
you mean all of the family, so to speak?
Spiritually, I got and I wasn't connected to, it was connected to the case, but it wasn't...
So you shaved your head for your friend Charlie?
Yes, to take a poll and see who really cared about them being trapped in something that nobody even cares.
How many times have you visited Charlie since?
A lot.
Did you have to ask Charlie's permission to come on this program today?
I didn't have to ask his permission, but
not to come, so if anybody was doing what Charlie said, none of us
it would be better if, when you talk
Charlie
about
said,
somebody, if you kind of have their permission a little bit, you know?
Say again, Carol?
You should have his permission to talk about him. You should have his permission to say his name.
Okay. Be right back.
Night of the Manson murders, a look back at Hollywood's bloodiest night.
Women I don't got to tell them what to do. If I got to tell them what to do, I'll set them up on the highway and get them away from me. I don't deal with women I got to tell them what to do. They know what to do. If they don't know what to do, they better stay away from me.
I wonder if, Carol, did you shave your head because you loved Charlie? Do you love Charlie today?
Yeah, I love Charlie. Uh-huh. He's love.
Do you love him in a spiritual way, or do you love him in a romantic?
He's spiritual love.
Okay.
You probably don't know about that.
Oh, I guess not.
Do you know about the spiritual world at all?
I have
Other
a
than
question
material?
for either of the girls, and I really would appreciate an honest answer. While you were communing with the air and the birds and the ground,
commune with it.
What kind of drugs were you doing on a daily basis?
Answer that?
Yes.
We weren't doing any drugs.
I did the other day when I was in the park with you.
Hey, communing with it means picking up the trash and planting
got a good
trees.
whiskey nose there, fella.
That's pretty, you know, that's a drug enough.
The other day in the park, and you were irritated that I wouldn't have it with you.
How many people know that the air is alive? How many people know that the water is alive? It's talking to you. How many people know that the animals are talking to you?
Get it on. Let's do something.
Okay. You've spoken a great deal about how Charles Manson's been wronged and how he's innocent and everything else, but 7 people died. Terrible deaths. Who do you believe is directly responsible for this? Which individuals?
Who said they did? The people that said they did it. I'm sure. I wouldn't call them a liar.
The facts are Charlie did not murder anybody, and that's cut and dry.
Why don't you put it on the system?
Charlie's in prison for conspiracy. He did not kill anyone. However, TJ was with Charlie when he blew open the chest with a .22 caliber gun of Bernard Crowe. So you have seen him do violence.
Bill, you sat there and listened to the reasons for that, and if you were in the same position...
Wait, TJ, you admit you saw Charlie shoot a man in the chest?
Sure I did. I also seen everything else that happened. The guy called up and says he's going to cut this girl's head off. And come in, because Tex
wasn't this a drug deal that went bad?
Tex stole the money, and then Tex comes back with this money after and leaves his fiancée there to get her head cut off, and says, "I'm going camping." And we didn't know that until the phone call came. They asked
how far away was the guy when Charlie pulled the trigger?
You want to hear it or not?
Yeah.
Okay. We went there because there was a screaming, crying girl there that said they were going to kill this girl, and we heard it on the phone because there was 2 phones. She asked for Charlie. Tex's name was Charlie, so I got the other Charlie because I didn't know him as Charlie. I knew him as Tex. When we got there, they had her tied up on the bed, and we got her out of there. And the only reason anybody got shot after Charlie got down on his knees and put the gun in his hand and handed it to the guy, he says, "If you got to take a life, take mine." The guy laughed and says, "It has to be the girl."
So then Charlie shot him?
That's after he...
I know, but then he shot him.
Yeah, with empty rounds, yeah.
Why do you mean did he shoot him, Bill, or did he not shoot him?
Sure, he shot him once in the chest.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was only once. I'm sorry.
Hey,
if I knew it was only once, I would have had a whole different idea about it. All right. I got you.
What would you do? Leave her there to get
Dolores,
her head cut off?
we really haven't heard enough from you about...
Enough from me.
What would you have done, Geraldo, if it was you, a friend of yours?
Who knows? And you think I believe your account of why you went to rescue the damsel in distress?
You said it on your own show.
All right. Did he use your gun? Is that what I heard? TJ used your gun? Was it your .22?
It was given to me to give to Randy Starr.
Oh, right.
The same gun shot Stephen Parent 4 times and Wojtek Frykowski.
Yeah.
The same gun.
Yeah,
TJ, where were you on the night of August 9th, 1969?
I was at a hot springs by Death Valley.
Any witnesses?
Sure.
Do you have alibi witnesses?
Sure.
Does he need that?
Is anybody accusing him of anything?
Right.
Are you accusing him of something?
Oh, John, would I accuse any of you fellas?
Would you?
I've got to take a break. Not me.
Come on.
Don't like or dislike nothing. I see everything as it is. Your courtrooms have convicted me for being Jesus Christ in one courtroom.
Well,
and then then in the other courtroom, you convicted me for being the devil. Now, if you believe in your own courtrooms, you convicted me for being the father of this country.
I want to go to Dolores now, who knew Charlie when. Did you call him Charlie?
No, always Charles. He was a churchgoer, came from a very religious family. He lived with his aunt and uncle and grandmother that took us to church every Sunday.
Did you know his mom? Did she ever come visit?
I met her a few times, a couple of times.
Did Charlie, or Charles, as you knew him, ever tell you about his mom?
No. No.
Is it not true, the story I've heard, Bill, or you tell me, wasn't his mom a prostitute? Wasn't he the product of a John? I mean, that's the way I heard it.
Well, the rumor has been that his mother was a prostitute, and Charlie has spoken himself that he was the recipient of a prostitute.
Well, he was talking to someone like you because usually
What does that mean, someone like me?
Why do you ask him for the facts about someone that he doesn't, he's never been met?
You're prejudiced and you're single-minded.
Thank you. I wanted very badly to have these people on the show and worked very hard, as you know, to do that, because when I first met Carol, and I looked up all these Manson followers, and I've been to the Barker Ranch, the Spahn Ranch, Myers Ranch. I've been to the Tate House. A week ago, I went through the Tate House, the scene of the murders. Been through the La Bianca house. My point is, when I met Carol, she explained to me, tell me if I'm wrong, that on August 16th, when they raided the... Thank you, Carol. They raided the Spahn Ranch on August 16th, okay? Carol told me that they took fingerprints on August 16th and placed it back at the crime scene of Susan Atkins and Tex Watson. How you did that when the crime was August 8th and 9th and took fingerprints on the 16th is beyond me, but she believes it.
Wait,
and
I don't understand.
also believe it's a police conspiracy.
They took the fingerprints
from Spahn Ranch on August 16th, right, and somehow mysteriously transported that back to appear
I see.
on August 9th.
She's saying that it was all rigged up.
Can I answer it?
I'd love to hear it.
They had to manufacture evidence.
After the fact?
They didn't have any evidence. I was told by one of the arresting officers that they had no evidence against Charlie or any of those people. They knew they were innocent when they arrested him, but they couldn't stop the
Just tell me how they lifted a fingerprint a week later and put it at the scene of the crime the week before.
Can I answer you?
I hope
you aren't
so.
even thinking, because...
Does the audience understand how you can take a fingerprint on the 16th and put it... Stupidity?
Yes, because you're saying... After they said there's like 8 points
around to make it sound stupid when
that are alive.
I want to go, Deborah. All right, you guys can talk about that when you're back in the park or something. Susan doesn't in any way say she's innocent now. What she's trying to do is to get some of the convictions overthrown. Is that it?
No, Susan simply is doing her time. She simply accepts the fact that she was a participant in these murders, and as a result of that, this is her punishment. She accepts her punishment. She apparently keeps out of the news, although I had a National Enquirer shoved in my face this morning.
Oh, yes, the National Enquirer says that she's trying to get pregnant with her second husband.
I know. I saw that
a man that she met in...
Susan does not
been writing to her.
Yeah, well, Susan does not go after any media attention at all. So I sort of question.
But she married Donald Lazer.
And I anticipate, and it was a big mistake on her part as well. She admits that. She said within just a few months she found out what this man was all about, and that was the end of that.
Do you know that Donald claims that Susan stabbed him during a conjugal visit?
Oh yes, Susan and I had a little chat about that one, and she said the guy's a nut. She said that.
Susan Atkins said the guy's a nut.
Yeah, absolutely. She said, you know, it's patently absurd. First of all, apparently, according to Mr. Lazer's statement, was that they had a 6.5-day honeymoon over the administrative building, which is absurd because there isn't any place over the administrative building at CIW.
Well, he has been married 42 times.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's take a look at his credibility.
I've got to take a break. I come back to Deborah and the others in a second. Okay.
For free tickets to the Geraldo Show, write Geraldo Tickets, 524 West 57th Street, New York, New York, 10019. Please send a self-addressed stamped envelope or call 212-265-1283.
We want to hear your comments and show ideas. Give us a call at 1-900-SPEAK-UP. Let us know what you're thinking. We'll record your message to play in a future broadcast. We may even call you to be a guest on a show. So call 1-900-SPEAK-UP. Don't forget, the call costs $1. We'll be right back.
Terrible, violent, no good, so-and-so, and rah-rah. When actually, in reality, I'm a deadhead, man. I've been dead since 1951.
That's an interesting point. Dead since 1951, he says. How does he head up Atwa from behind bars?
Conscious of it, that's all. You don't head up anything. He's just saying that that's what needs to be done for yourself.
And how many members does Atwa claim?
All the people in the universe. The whole everything.
Anybody who's into
We're all
recycling.
members of Charles Manson's religion, Leslie.
Do you recycle, Geraldo?
Yes, I do.
Okay, there you go.
Anson and you, Carol, I'd like to know what you girls do for a living.
I'm a housewife.
Carol?
And I have children.
So you have kids? Are you married now?
Yes.
Does your husband approve of your
I don't want to
affection
talk
for
about
Charles?
that.
Okay.
That's very
fair.
irrelevant.
I have a question for all four of you. You say that you don't think Charles had any influence on the murders?
No, he didn't.
That he didn't have any influence on the murders that took
Only
place?
as a person alive on Earth that's thinking
But then
it went
what
through
is,
his
in your
head.
opinion, what was the motive for these murders that took place if they weren't influenced by something?
What our opinion
That's a good question. What were the motives?
I don't have an
A
opinion
cover
on
up
it.
for the
I don't
Vietnam
need it.
War. Someone in the system.
Wait, hold it. Carol has an answer.
Does it cover up for the Vietnam War?
Quiet, gentlemen. Let her finish. Go ahead, Carol. I'm sorry, we didn't hear it.
People within the system that are prone that way. They have guns, they carry guns. In that day and age, people didn't carry guns all the time.
What are you saying? What was the motive, though? I still don't.
I'm saying that the people that are inclined that way, not a bunch of hippies running a horse ranch.
Okay, I'd like to ask the friends of Mr. Manson, what was the reasoning, or what was his feelings while these murders were being committed? I know he's supposed to be guilty of conspiracy, but I mean, was he trying to return these people to the air, the trees, the water, and the earth? Or what? Come on.
John.
I give the gentleman Charlie's address and let him ask the question where it belongs.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
He wants to know what the reason was that Charlie did what he did. Well, Charlie didn't do what he says he did, but if he wants to ask that question, he ought to ask it to Charlie, I guess.
Charlie gets a lot of fan mail, doesn't he?
He gets a lot of mail. I don't know if you call it fan mail.
Each day.
How many letters?
I don't know.
10 pounds a day, 75 media interview requests a week.
And he turns them all down.
Wow.
In fact, he said he didn't have anything he wanted Geraldo to touch.
He didn't have anything he wanted Geraldo to touch.
I have more a comment than a question. And my comment is that you sit here and you talk about how judgmental we all are. How would you expect us to feel about a man who we saw a clip of before, who when Geraldo interviewed him made a comment that he cuts people because he can?
If someone
that
was
is not something you would ever do or anything
talking about something that you don't want to open your mind to the picture.
Somebody who has a lot of hate in his heart, and that hate is not in my heart. We have a lot more love in our hearts than you do in yours.
On that nice note, we'll take a break.
They're here, American. For transcripts, please